you want to support NA League of Legends? Do you want custom emotes to spam in chat? Do you want to wake up and taste freedom? Sub to twitch.tv/LCS Challengers to salute the players and earn the flag!
Oh, this starts. Wait, what about the Canadian players?
Heck yeah, they're in too! Anyone can!
I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part, and you can too! Sub to twitch.tv/LCS Challengers to salute the players and the flag!
Hell yeah, brother! Salute all the players!
We're doing our part.
We are doing our part.
Twitch Prime, don't forget Twitch Prime. Yeah.
Twitch Prime, sub, any type of sub. Not for Josh. He's always on top. Anyway, we get back into our second match of the day. Supernova taking on Team Fish Taco. As we explained, gentlemen, these two rosters, this is the first time that they have entered into the Challengers League. Supernova being a long-standing semi-pro organization since 2015, I think you mentioned, Magical. And let's go ahead and meet the roster that they are running for the summer split.
And we have, like, Supernova, they've been a team, like an organization for a while in Tier 3, but this is the first time they get to Tier 2. They made it through the promotion tournament. Unfortunately, not with this team. This is a brand new team that they have, all 5 players. However, they do have players that were a part of those open qualifiers or have already been a part of the system. We look at Sketch and Trevor, 2 players that already played back in last split. Trevor for Cincinnati Fear, Sketch for CLG Faith, but was as a support, so he's going back over to ADC. Robbie Bob, he subbed in briefly for Evil Geniuses Challengers, but also did play for Team Fish Taco on the other side, so he actually competed with them during their time trying to make it through the promotion tournament.
Don't forget Quacker also substituting in for AoE, which we saw earlier in the day. Also, another Olaf aficionado. We'll see whether or not that comes out today. But this is a team that is looking to make a splash. They have been part of the Tier 3 ecosystem for so long. They earned themselves the nickname the Heart of Amateur, and I don't know if we can still call it that now that they are here in Tier 2.
I feel like we still can, especially because a lot of their players have come through the system. Music being a brand new player as well to this system. Someone who only recently has been looking to go pro. So having him join in with the team as well as kind of like this unknown factor, I feel like they really do embody the heart of amateur.
And meanwhile, on the other side, Team Fish Taco. Man,
Taco.
See,
I want a Fish Taco now. Every time I talk about this team, it makes me hungry.
The place in Irvine, really good. Anyway, but we got a couple of returning players as well. Y'all remember Lunacia and Rosethorn and Spawn. They've been around for a little while, but NXI, who was on FlyFam last split, is moving from the jungle role down into support, and they're bringing in Onat for a first opportunity to play in Tier 2.
CLG Faith.
Yeah, CLG Faith. It was Lunacia. He's getting confused. Lunacia was on FlyFam.
There's a lot of Fs
in
the chat.
No, right now there's not Fs in the chat. Well, unless you're supporting Team Fish Tacos, then you are. Make sure you're letting us know who you think is going to win. But looking at this team, like Team Fish Tacos, Onat is another player. He played for Supernova and qualified with Supernova during the promotion tournament. So this is a player that I'm very, very excited to see how he's going to. I'm saying if you spell it all Team Fish Taco, not if you.
And that is true. And Josh made a note that there is another quite notable jungle player who's not in
Why do you have
Challengers
to
League.
out me like this?
Well,
because
I mean, I want to make sure that you get credit for this beautiful graphic that is coming up right now.
Yeah! Move over mid laners. There's a new role swap in town. Yeah, we've been seeing a number of people role swap down to support. Historically, it's been mostly mid laners, but there's also been some AD carriers, and now it's the jungler's turn for everybody to go over. Dardock, who recently came off of their win over in Collegiate League of Legends, is also moving to support in order to play with Chad Jungle, but NXI is doing it right now in order to play with Rosethorn and still find them their way into a Challengers League.
Now, before everyone gets excited, this is for a team called Mirage Alliance, which is competing in the Open Qualifiers, which you can catch over on, I forget which stream it is. Is it
LCS Challengers to start?
Yes.
Rallycry Official and Rallycry 2.
Now, this all happens before our games, and then so you can watch those. Then subscribe at that time, for the LCS Challengers. Then you can also come here and watch our games afterwards, so you can just get nothing but League of Legends, and then subscribe to this channel at Path to LCS.
So if you're up early in the morning over on NA, or if you're an EU and you're an avid supporter of the North American League of Legends scene,
or just a fan of League of Legends,
just fan of League of Legends in general, just tune into the channels a little bit earlier in the day, and you'll catch the open qualifier action. But for us, between Team Fish Taco and Supernova, our highlighted matchup is in the top lane. One of the most surprising debuts was Lunacia from FlyFam. We knew nothing about this guy, and he's just out there solo killing a bunch of our top laners from Spring.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy to just watch him consistently solo kill people, like solo killing Sniper as well, who was a big pickup that everyone was talking about beforehand. And they're like, this is the guy you got to look out for. Lunacia is like, no. I'm the guy you need to look out for.
Yeah, Lunacia was the second most solo killingest, yeah, he had the most solo kills, I believe, of any player during spring, if you include both the regular season and the playoffs that came after it. But they all came in the regular season, right? He was able to beast up on everyone and just consistently find so many solo kills up against not just some of the other rookie top laners, but some of the people who had come into the league that we were expecting to come and take names.
And for Lunacia, we've got Quacker on the other side of the field, which is a top laner that, for us, longtime semi-pro fans here in NA, we've been always excited whenever this guy does pop up back into the scene, but he's been gone for quite some time, but he's back here in the summer.
He's back and he's playing Olaf, baby. And Olaf was absolutely monstrous during the promotion tournament where he subbed in for AoE, subbing in for Gamsu, and was actually a big factor of how they were able to pick up some of these wins, especially against Maryville. That game 1 that he had on Olaf, where I think he ended up finishing that game 8-2, where he just was getting so far ahead of Niles. And then his team fight capabilities also were so impressive with how he was able to mark certain targets and really create the space for Lynx to pop off.
Yeah, and it's been interesting as well, right? Just as we were talking about with Will, who's been the sweet summer child, we have Quacker coming in as the medical genius coming through, who has had a lot of opportunity to study in the medical field. And, you know, in their spare time between all of the things that they do to try and become a doctor, they're also like, you know, this League of Legends game is pretty cool, consistently finding their way up into the top echelons of play. And now, from what we understand, has decided that he's going to give everything here. He can always go back to school later, but for now, he wants to try and do his best in order to go pro.
Yeah, hailing from, I think it's University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign.
Yes, I believe so too.
I hope I'm saying that correctly. And I remember, you know, back in the early days of semi-pro, at least, you know, for us, broadcasting most of the Proving Ground circuit in 2021, he had a short stint on Wildcard. And the champion, I know you're talking about the Olaf, and he's playing a lot of the Olaf. For me, the champion that I remember, the Darius, that's what I'm saying,
I knew you were going to mention, once he said it, it's like, Olaf, yeah, but it's Darius. I'm like, yeah, I knew you were going to say that beforehand, because that was always the big one that everyone talked about. That was the one he first made his name on.
Sometimes the little bit of the Lucian top one was still a flavor, but you know what? We're going to see what champions these guys lock in, because the first draft select is ready to go. So take it away, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Mark. We'll see you on the other side for our Rally Car halftime show. Make sure if you... Huh?
You said on the other side.
Yeah, on the other side. I mean, we don't have to. The other side could mean like the other side of this book, right? You're technically...
Oh, you picked it up.
You're on the other side of this. Well, of course I did. I need the book for the notes.
Well, as we get into it, we are already going right on into the draft. Taco is taking no questions about what's going to be happening with this mid. Get that crap out of here right now. We don't need all those little fires giving all the extra range around, but Supernova are also throwing a couple of very targeted bans as well. Lunacia, best character by far in spring, was that Jackson is already going to be taken off the table. As we come back, Taco really focusing all their bans so far onto Trevor, who we've been definitely talking about the top laners so far, but if you look at the Supernova roster, I feel pretty confident in saying that Trevor is likely to be the best performer on this roster, just because of how well that they were actually doing with Cincinnati Fear before.
Right, and he was someone that everyone on Fear were talking about being the big reason why they were winning. The big reason that they felt motivated, because he was giving them that motivation. They felt like they had a leader. He was always someone who's like, yeah, let's look for these plays. Let's look for these fights. And I'm really curious to see how he does with this new team being in that leadership role. being the Supernova, as he likes to call it, because he is an older player, but he is a player that we are really starting to see great strides from, especially as of late, and with a completely different squad here, with some of them being brand new to like the tier 2 competitive scene as well. I'm really curious to see what he can do with Supernova.
I'm fascinated to see that this Cassante pick already coming through, right? It is something that, you know, Quacker has had a lot of familiarity on, but it feels as though it's kind of a couple of tiers down in terms of the drafting points a lot of teams have been putting on this top lane, right? The Aphilos and Vi, just as we were seeing from our previous games with AoE, already getting snapped up here for Team Fish Taco, and they are very comfortable in this, right? Spawn is one of the best team fighting AD carries left in the league.
Now, I believe that's actually Spawn's most played champion in his entire career, too, is Aphelios, by like a country mile, too.
Yeah.
This is a champion that he has put so much time and practice in, and seeing that locked in with Rosethorn on something that is very aggressive as well, especially once you hit level 6. Rosethorn is a player that we always look for how he's able to impact these lanes, how he's able to really build up the rest of his team and get them leads, especially now that you see that Sketch is going to be on Ezreal, something that wants to be a lot safer. Well, you can't get away from Vi.
Yeah, we've also been asking for Robbie Bob to lock in the Zed for a while as the World's Number 1 ranch.
Oh no, I thought it locked for a second because the graphic on my side froze, and I'm like, no way did he lock that in. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Nah, it is going to be Trevor going onto the Recon, something they had a lot of success with on Cincinnati Fear, and Sketch will be playing the Ezreal here as well. Now, it is worth noting that just as we were talking about with NXI swapping from the jungle to the support, Sketch recently was an AD carry, moved to the support, and is now back to the AD carry position. So, we'll see what they can actually do on this Ezreal as we see the same core for Team Fish Taco as what we saw from AoE earlier on in their most recent game.
But this makes a lot of sense for Taco. Onat, when he played in the promotion tournament, even back in the open qualifiers, Ari was really the big standout for Onat. Constantly was the one getting a lot of pressure put onto him, whether it was getting banned away or just getting hard focus in draft to try to counter Onat on Ari, which was a struggle for a lot of teams. Even when they got counter matchups like that Lissandra, they still struggled to stop him from getting out of control.
Yeah, and now they're going to be trying to protect this mid lane as well. Robbie Bob is coming off of a fantastic performance where he was named the Finals MVP for the Collegiate League of Legends Championships, where they were able to take down Maryville 3-1.
Shout out to them with University of St. Thomas that they were able to pick up back. That's this back-to-back champions too.
Yeah,
was able to win last year as well with the team, winning again this year over Maryville. This is big for Robbie Bob, especially as a player that we talked about before had played with Team Fish Taco previously to work to get towards the promotion, get towards NACL. Unfortunately, Team Fish Taco did fall short in the promotion tournament, but with things that happened, Team Fish Taco did get promoted, but Robbie Bob did not stay with the team, instead opting to go with Supernova.
Yeah. As we do see this coming through, right? A lot of control mages coming through. We saw what Saligo did with the Lissandra, 2 Dark Wings on the Ahri. Not going to be letting Robbie Bob do the exact same kind of thing. But as we do see the next couple of bans come through, it is going to be a Kindred taken away from Music. And Music is one of those players that is coming in as a rookie that also has a lot of hype behind him. You ask people who have seen his triads, who have played with him in solo queue, they're pretty excited for this guy. But we don't have a whole lot of tape on them so far in the competitive side of things. So this is going to be their first game here in the Tier 2 atmosphere, and they have a lot of pressure that is going to be putting on them because they know that Quacker and Robbie Bob, well, they can really take things over later on in the game. They aren't necessarily known for being the strongest of laners.
Josh, did we accidentally get like the script from last game here for Team Fish Taco? Because right now, 4 of the 5 champions they have picked are the exact same that we saw from our last series between Wildcard and AoE. A bit, I don't think it's a bit weird. I think it's standard. I think you're also memeing me now that I think about it. Whoa!
No, I'm looking at the Volibear.
Oh, that is weird. That's weird.
Yeah. Now, okay, Volibear is a champion that does
is that
one
for
thing.
Quacker?
And one thing only. I don't know. Volibear just mauls people in the early game, right? The W does so much damage. You just stat check almost everyone. As I'm expecting, it's probably going to be going over towards Music at this point.
Yeah, it is. Once you lock in the Cassiopeia, I'm like, okay, that's gotta be Cassante, Quacker, jungle for Volibear, and then having Robbie Bob on this Cassiopeia into Ahri.
Very good pick.
Very good pick. But the thing that does surprise me is that Olaf So we get the exact same draft for Team Fish Taco that AoE took on their second game of red side.
And it is going to be Lunasia's Olaf. Now, I am curious. We are seeing a little bit of Volibear being played across the world, but what has it actually been played on in top regions? We saw Young Jay play it a little bit for Kongdu. Kaz played it. It's seeing a little bit of play over in Korea recently, but I gotta say, I'm not necessarily super sold on this pick in the meta right now. I definitely feel as though music is going to have to live up to some of those expectations that other people in the scene have been putting on for them. But Team Fish Taco, as they come through, whenever you see Lunasia on a character that can solo kill their lane opponent, you gotta be rooting for the guy.
And one thing I do like with Volibear, and I think why we're seeing it here, is it does do a really good job of absorbing a lot of pressure for the team. Plus, you can always jump in and jump out even if you get charmed. You know that you can always get out when you use your ult as Volibear. Plus, having a point-and-click stun onto someone is always nice.
It is definitely pretty nice, especially if Onat goes a little bit too far. But as we spawn onto the Rift here, my big question right now is there is a fair amount of damage coming out from Robbie Bob, right? He's going to be doing quite a bit. Sketch also with the buffs to Trinity Force, and there's a couple of different ways he can also build the Ezreal right now. Will be doing a ton of deeps, but on Taco Gaming, they're really focused on trying to find some of these burst opportunities, and that's going to put a lot of pressure here onto Onat and Rose starting to kind of link up, and they're a new mid-jungle duo that has not played together basically ever, as far as I know.
As far as I know, Onat being a newer player, Rosethorn we have seen for a long time throughout the Academy / Challengers League, and then also briefly in the Tier 3s as he was looking to make his way back in previous splits. Here on Team Fish Taco, playing with Onat, a very young player, someone who has a lot of hype, and I love Onat because he's one of those players that is a bit cocky, but you kind of love that from mid lane players.
Got his own hashtag.
He's got his own hashtag, and he's also someone, when we interviewed him and I talked to him during the promotion tournament, he is very confident in himself. And you love seeing that from a younger player coming into this split, especially on how they're going to perform into someone like Robbie Bob, as you mentioned, the MVP of CLOL for 2023.
Oh. Nasia.
Yeah, but it is Olaf. It is difficult to fight against Olaf, especially as Cassante and as Volibear. You realize, okay, Olaf can still fight pretty effectively 1v2.
Yeah, he doesn't have the extra attack speed yet, right?
But it's still, you know, those undertows, they're gonna start hurting.
They're gonna hurt. Anyway, whether or not Olaf could have won that 1v2 aside, the big question for me as we look at this is how are people going to be dealing with Robbie Bob on this Cassiopeia, right? It's not necessarily something that has the most mobility, but it is very quick and is going to be running around a lot of these team fights. And it also has the DPS to take down Lunasia on the Olaf if it gets to actually start going for a lot of these fights. And I mean, Robbie Bob, despite some of the issues that they were seeing on their time on Evil Genius's Challengers, gets to showcase that when they are on characters that they are more comfortable with, can really take down a lot of the mid laners that haven't been playing for a long time.
I think this is where a lot of this is going to be on the back of how music plays around Robbie Bob, because you're expecting a Vi Ahri to look to link up early into the game. That is the whole reason why you draft those two together, with how great they pair and how quickly they can burst someone down. Which means there's a giant target on Robbie Bob's back, because Cassiopeia, especially early into the game, is very susceptible to ganks.
Oh yeah. I mean, it just doesn't have any dashes, right? It's just a flash. That's all you have available to you. And so far, we are going to be seeing that Rosethorn will be basically mirroring the path coming out from music. They'll both be on opposite sides of the map, and Lunasia, as they push the wave into the enemy side of the map, is going to be kind of mirrored on the other side, where Sketch and Trevor also creating some pressure.
Again, kind of expected when you look at how these lanes are really drafted too. You kind of think that maybe a Felios and Nautilus, if they can get the level 2 spike over an Ezreal Vercon lane, can possibly get some pushback, but it is all dependent on who gets that first level 2, and as you said, we already can see that Sketch and Trevor are the ones who got the first advantage over Spawn and NXI. Yeah,
and we shouldn't necessarily be putting a ton of expectations on NXI right off the bat, right? They are a jungle player that is moving in. They are playing a Nautilus, which is a character that, you know, is kind of feast or famine, right? You're either tanky enough to survive all of these engages, or you're not. And this has been an opportunity where NXI has played a variety of different styles as a jungler, but understanding the intricacies of the 4-person lane that always happens down here in the bottom lane is something that's likely going to take some time.
We see that Rosethorn is looking to attack this bot lane pretty early on into the game. Easily dash over the wall, but Sketch and Trevor, this goes back to that prowess that we were talking about with Trevor. They were already so far back. They were already ready for a potential gank from Rosethorn that they're playing very passively, even though the wave is going to slowly push to them. And this gives a lot of ample opportunity to Music to look for this top lane play, forcing out the early flash of Lunacia.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a flash trade that is going to be coming through here, but we will get this wave to crash, and both junglers, they go from one place to another. It's basically a wash, though, right? Neither Lunacia nor Quacker have a flash at this point, and no summoners were blown down here in the bottom side of the map, so ultimately a very steady early game. And we are seeing that one of the criticisms we had of Spawn in the past, right, while a fantastic team fighter hasn't always been able to build advantages in the lane, they're currently able to get a small advantage that will get mostly neutralized as this wave is crashed. But even just standing up to Sketch and Trevor this early on is a good improvement coming out from this player.
They're getting this recall off as well, though Trevor does cancel it. If you watch the minimap, was able to cancel the back. Still gets a little bit of extra time that is going to hurt Spawn and NXI, as Spawn has to take a very long path just to get back towards his turret so he can recall.
Yeah. And so the wave, as the teleport comes through from Sketch, they will have a lot more control over how it actually moves. And it looks like, because it's a little bit further towards the side of Taco Gaming, it can push back towards them if they want it instead. They're going to be full pushing for it. We haven't seen the Dragon actually picked up on either side, and with the full push coming out from this lane, Music now is an opportunity to play for it. You're already seeing the pings. Yeah,
already get the pings, already looking for that play. Spawn has quite some distance before he's going to get back into lane. It does seem like Sketch and Trevor falling back at the moment. Just wary of where Rosethorn is, especially because Bob has been pushed back towards his turret. So you could still have an opportunity for Team Fish Taco to send up NXI while Spawn holds onto the minion wave and have a 3v3. Robbie Bob getting attacked, having to flash early. Not bad. Miasma put down. Music looking to re-engage. All the while, it's a split fight as Trevor was taken pretty low, but we look back towards the mid lane as they get the flash out of Rosethorn to be able to survive. Onat has level 6 if need be, if they want to dash back in, but they're going to reset instead and let Supernova control the pit.
Yeah, another flash trade coming through as Robbie and Rosethorn both commit there. As in Rosethorn, a little bit lucky to walk away. Robbie being very patient with the Petrifying Gaze, not committing it for anything. And Supernova will be relying on the extra strength of this Volibear in this pit to actually go for the fight and pick up the Dragon. So Taco will let them have that. But Rosethorn not going to be letting them have it for free.
I like this. I like that play from Rosethorn because they clearly lost out on the bottom half of the map from having to blow the flash from Rosethorn, meaning that Onat could no longer go back towards the pit with the bot lane because it would have been a 4v5 fight, 4v3 fight, sorry, had they go look for it. So not only does he get the Scuttle Crab, takes away the blue buff, just denies these incremental things towards Music so they get something, while Music then has to go for his own invade, but gets spotted out by NXI. Oh, he does smite secure it though.
Yeah. I mean, Music will not just be giving up his own blue buff for free as they pick it up as Rosethorn. Also, I mean, it's kind of living in Music's jungle right now. We saw this a little bit before, right? In our first series, where while Keel was getting all of the kills, Will was taking away so many camps at this point. And it feels as though Rosethorn, by taking away all these camps, still having all of his own to farm, might come out basically even individually. Instead, it still just comes down to how the lanes have been performing as the Rosethorn not even go for his own camps. Going to be starting up the top side with the Rift Herald.
Makes sense. So they have already Lunacia winning pretty well against Quacker top lane. Onat has been getting perma-shove against Robbie Bob. They can all collapse here onto the pit. It completely equates that play earlier with Supernova getting the Dragon and blue buff. Now, Team Fish Taco in a much better position that they could even look to open up the lane of Lunacia if they want to and really try to get the full extent of this Olaf's power.
Yeah. And Lunacia is doing a decent job in actually playing up against Quacker so far, is building a small lead. But the big question is going to be, will Lunacia be far enough ahead to actually put some threat onto Robbie Bob, put some threat onto Sketch? Yeah, basically, regardless, they will be able to brawl going up against Music and Quacker. But that's not the issue, right? They are going to be the damage dealers.
Yeah, it's about how you get kited back by an Azrael and Cassiopeia, right?
Exactly, yeah. And we have seen that Robbie Bob choosing not to go with the Ghost is going to be a little bit slower, but will have the extra laning power and is doing a pretty decent job playing up against Onat here in the mid lane.
As Supernova getting the pushback for Robbie Bob, have gotten a little bit of freedom to now look towards the bottom half of this map as Music has been invading, getting himself the Gromp away from Rosethorn. But it has been completely spotted out. There is vision set up by Team Fish Taco, so they knew that Music was looking for this one. Because Robbie Bob still needs to be able to get some of those minions, has to go back into the mid lane, so they can't look to completely collapse on top of Music.
Did you see the way that Trevor and Sketch moved instantly as soon as they saw that Rosethorn was fighting? Right, they moved to make sure that Spawn and NXI could not move through the river without a bit of a fight to hold them in the bottom lane. So far, it's been kind of quiet, right? One of the things that we were talking about with AoE was the question of who were going to be the big playmakers on both teams. Now with Supernova, we were saying we were expecting it to be Trevor, the one who actually starts a lot of these fights. But on the side of Taco Gaming, I would have said NXI for sure if they were in the jungle, but Rosethorn, I mean, to quote from XU, is a bit of a cookie-cutter jungler. He will oftentimes go for a lot of very safe plays, right? While he did have a lot of opportunities on CLG to be a bit more aggressive, it still was kind of the same play every time, and Rosethorn hasn't been nearly as inventive with some of the flanks I'm expecting he will need to go for this game.
But sometimes you don't need to be inventive when you have Vi Ahri. It's a very cookie-cutter mid-lane duo, and as long as you can land a charm or you have that cease and desist from Rosethorn that connects onto Robbie Bob, then followed up by a charm, that's enough.
Yeah. It hasn't happened just quite yet, right? And Rosethorn has been having access to his ultimate for a little while, and no plays have come out with it at all. Now, if nothing happens for forever, it might be in the advantage of Team Fish Taco, right? Because the Volibear kind of just does one thing, and as much as we like to talk about characters like Lee Sin and Jarvan kind of falling off as the game goes longer, Volibear is like top of that list, right? It's a ball of stats, and that ball of stats really peaks out the most when you complete the first item and then kind of dwindles. Whereas the Vi, because they have the extra suppression, because they can lock down a single target no matter what, has a little bit more to play with.
I think this is where we have to look towards how you can play around someone like Trevor, as he gets a double knockup, and there's Music coming on top, trying to punish Rosethorn. They've got the flash in with the miasma, getting a lot of damage as well. Who's going to be the first to fall? The Bear is the first casualty, but it's traded back, and look at the Twin Fang sinking into NXI, but Spawn showing up to help out, getting so much damage, but they got to be careful. Robbie Bob nearly was able to get enough poison down, but it will be 2 kills for Team Fish Taco.
Yeah, Spawn just finds their way over, and Sketch does not move. A little bit of an awkward fight coming through in that last one, which will create some issues, but Lunacia, I love the fact that he's just like willing to trade autos with Quacker, knowing that he has the built-in sustain, whereas Quacker does not. Then creating this small lead over and over. Sketch will at least pick up effectively an assist, right, as they take a plate for themselves. But we'll watch this one again. We see that Trevor goes, gets a lot of crowd control, but the big thing here, Music really needs to ult faster in these fights, right? We see that it comes out super, super late. I don't even believe they land it for the damage that comes through.
No damage.
And if you can use that to dodge out of all this crowd control, Supernova wins this fight.
Yes, I agree, because then you get either over the wall or you get the early ball of stats that you gain from it. That definitely helps out.
At least 2 auto attacks, right? Just from being crowd controlled during that window. And so now Supernova, they're going to try and stop this from crashing.
So it should still be the crash going through. Weren't able to deny that. One plate and a half picked up by Team Fish Taco. With the Dragon spawned up, they could look to continue this play around the bot lane, really try to control where they are starting to win.
Yeah, and giving over that money to players like Spawn is absolutely massive. While they have been quiet so far in this game, other than rotating up to help out with that fight, ooh, we know that they position super, super well. Spawn is really, really good at winning, like, what we've oftentimes termed like 70% fights where you're 70% likely to win. Super good at maximizing damage in those situations. And now
look at that TP behind. Quacker, he's got a great flank here.
Quacker.
And stolen away. Music secures the Dragon, but he got into the pit. They got a lot of damage. Spawn still alive, all out. Rosethorn, the first one to fall. There's 2 kills for Supernova as Onat. Same with NXI. They don't have anything that can fight back. Instead, NXI trying to get a little bit back. Had to sacrifice his life for a double kill out of Robbie Bob.
Wow, and the steal coming through as well. Everything looking good here for Supernova in that last fight. They get everything they could have wanted, but at the same time, right, just as we were looking at before where we were saying, oh, Conch was off in a side lane, Lunacia is doing something like that up in the top side as well. But
however,
as you called out, this teleport was massive, right? Just finding an opportunity. This looked like a team fight that was going to be dominated by Spawn's ability to fight until Quacker gets in and pulls the main damage dealer for Team Fish Taco out of the fight. While Ona does pick up one, that was after everything else had already been blown.
1 for 3 and losing the dragon. Music making up for the earlier play by securing that steal for the team. And this is something when we look towards Quacker and Lunacia. Lunacia, the solo kill god of top lane. This guy absolutely surprised everyone with how well he was able to do it in lane. But Quacker surprised everyone at the promotion by his team fights and how he did with the rest of the team with these flanks. And we got to see that right there in that last fight. And this is why we look at Quacker as being this player that we have to consistently keep our eyes on because how good he is at finding those flanks and those marks.
Yeah, a very cerebral player as well, right? Has been really good at going for a lot of these flanks, and that could be the difference maker, right? Will Taco, Team Fish Taco, be able to do the same kind of thing? He must do time. Stealing Lunas, or stealing Quacker's Olaf. Hey, Quacker went with the Sante first pick. It's not Lunacia's fault, okay?
Yeah, I was like, is it Lunacia's fault if Quacker didn't pick it?
Yeah,
and had
Quacker
all
had
the
opportunity.
Right, I feel like that's on Quacker, but Quacker also saying, I don't need the Olaf to look good.
Yeah. But this is going to be a neutral objective finally going over to Team Fish Taco, right? They got both Rift Heralds. They crashed the first one down to the bottom lane. They're now picking up the second one. And they are a little bit ahead in terms of gold across the map. But so much of this is now currently focused on a couple of players, right? It's focused on Lunacia, who has had a lot of opportunity to just like wail away on the plates. They've also just kind of been farming a little bit better as Onat. Ready to contest this blue buff.
It's the charm, but that's going to be the re-engage, and they got him. You're right, Rosethorn. He got burst down so quickly that I thought he was a squishy.
Dude, Music is just on fire with a lot of these smites so far, right? Taking away the dragon, now taking away the blue buff, and also having just enough damage to pick up Rosethorn on the backside. Now Supernova, Sketch, not going to fall for that one either.
Yeah, that one got a little dicey there for a second. I'm like, uh-oh, Sketch, did you just dump right into it? But he went over the wall, so he's okay.
He's okay. He's okay. Yeah. It doesn't feel as though Team Fish Taco is winning, right? Even though they are a little bit up in gold, so much of it... Really?
He's trying to defend this tower. No, you don't want to defend it against an Olaf like that, buddy.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. That was super illegal coming out from Quacker. Maybe if he gets... even if he gets over the wall, right, Lunacia is still you don't. At this point. Yeah.
You use it to push him away, you get the minions, and then you fail. You just leave.
Yeah.
You go, I use that, I'm done, I don't need anything else. Lunacia, though, he's showing us right there, like, you can't do illegal things like that against me. There's a reason I got all these solo kills.
Yeah, and it is definitely a player where you can't be too surprised when something like that happens for Lunacia, right? He just seems to force people into a lot of awkward situations. And I'm actually really curious, right? A long-term bet here. Do you think Lunacia is going to be our solo kill leader again this split?
I mean, he's already starting off pretty good. He's already got one.
That's the first one.
Yeah, that's one on day one, game one. Look, I also think that all predictions from week one will be wrong, so yeah. I'm not putting any predictions out there.
So that's your prediction?
I'm not putting any predictions out there.
That's a coward's way out. Yeah. Mark pops in with the cringe.
All right, fine. Then, okay. I'll say no. I'll say no. You won't.
So now he's destined to become, because you said all predictions are wrong?
Exactly.
All right. Well, there you go.
But if I knew that, maybe I'm...
Reverse caster, cursing, casters.
Yeah, exactly. So.
All right. Here we go, though. Rosethorn. They want to try it.
Before they engage. Ooh. That dredge line, that connects. That's an engage for sure. That's dead Sketch, I think. But with the TP completed and all 5 members of both teams here in mid lane, That's no crash for Shelly.
Trevor
looks to engage on a Rosethorn. Disengage. Double knockback, though, from Quacker.
Watch Spawn, watch Spawn.
Damage on Onat. Dashing away. He'll die to 1, but it's traded back. Both ADCs getting a kill. The burn, the damage, the poison, the double kill for Sketch. They've got what they need, and Supernova, they're cashing out with the flashes away. They take down Spawn and get a killing spree for the MVP of Collegiate LoL.
Wow, Spawn looked like he was in the pocket, but Robbie Bob able to take down all comers through that last fight, just standing and delivering, doing so much damage. They pick up the mid lane turret, they pick up their 3rd dragon on their way through this first game, and Robbie Bob, your CLOL Finals MVP, showing up big yet again on the Tier 2 stage.
Here on Cassiopeia as well, a new look for him and how well he's performing on this one into probably one of the more interesting up-and-coming mid-lane rookies that we have in ONAP, but a lot of this was started off by Trevor, looking for that engage onto Rosethorn and getting cease and desist early.
Yeah, and so much of this comes through, right, as Robbie Bob and Sketch are able to pick up ONAP relatively early on, and then that's most of the threat that was being leveraged down onto the backline from Supernova. Both Sketch and Robbie Bob picking the same target, chasing everybody down. There's just not enough damage left over to try and go for Robbie Bob and Sketch. They devoted everything to trying to kill the front line.
Well, and like I said, you don't have the big lockdown tool of your Vi anymore. That was used on trying to deny Trevor from getting a huge quickness to completely wipe the fight as well. There's so much that was done right just from that initial step from Trevor.
Yeah. Now Trevor.
Huge blast cone.
Yeah, big blast cone. So now the question then is, it feels as though one of the main ways for Team Fish Taco to try and come through from this position is really kind of blowing up in the side lane, right? Lunacia is slowly building a larger and larger lead here against Quacker, and Quacker has not necessarily been able to go for a lot of these 1v1 fights. The one time that they did actually go for it, right, Lunacia found the solo kill. And Lunacia, with no teleport, is committed to this side lane style.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. It's like, well, Lunacia, that might be what he wants to do. That's not what Quacker is here to do. Quacker is here for the team fights, and we've already seen that now twice in this game, that he is far more about playing for the rest of his team than he is about that side lane.
Yeah. And for people who are like trying to get better at side laning, right, if you want to be that player who is going to be looking for all these big flanks, you need to do it. Oh, well, hold on.
Oh, no. Oh, no, NXI.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. There's nothing more to say there.
Yeah, but if you want to be that person who goes for these big TP flanks, you need to be able to do it while also pushing out your lane so that you aren't losing turrets every single time. And now, Team Fish Taco, they're going to try and have to contest this Baron 4v5.
They've got Lunacia here as well, but look at where Quacker is. He's still nowhere near. They've got a huge miasma denying any engage out of Team Fish Taco, even if you have Lunacia 1v4 into the backline.
No way.
Can he do it, man? Oh, he's doing it! He got 2 of them, turning it around. Even though Robbie Bob went golden just in time, now was able to get the charm onto music. 2 members of Supernova low, all because Team Fish Taco's Lunacia popped off.
Wow, I mean, it looked like such an incredible miasma from Robbie Bob, but Lunacia, like you said, popping off in order to save the fight. They also pick up the mid lane turret. But man, Alex, it feels so weird. It feels as though Supernova are ahead in this game, and it doesn't feel like it's all that close, but every single time, it feels as though Taco is just scraping just enough out. As they go for another engage, Trevor catches multiple members with the charms. But Lunacia is like, oh, I can't leave. You come back in. Look at this huge heal from all of the damage that I'm able to do. He's able to run down Sketch through everything. And Robbie Bob, I mean, good zonies to keep themselves alive, but I mean, that was just a matter of time. It feels as though next time that happens, Spawn absolutely finds that kill.
But the fact that Lunacia gets 2 in the trade keeps them from taking down Baron early. This is given a little bit of reprieve towards Team Fish Tacos. They still, like you said, they gotta be so careful. It does feel like they're behind because it's so difficult for you to engage, to use that mobility up against Cassiopeia, Robbie Bob, and using this miasma again, right there, to deny anybody from getting to the backline. Rosethorn can't do anything in these fights, has to flash over the wall just to survive, and he's low. Jungler is taken out of the fight.
Supernova not able to go for the Baron just quite yet, not having done enough damage to the rest of the team, as Trevor also getting chunked out. It'd basically be a 4v4 and... Okay,
that's actually pretty good for Supernova. They got Ragnarok out of Lunacia, But Team Fish Taco now. Rosethorn is going to be back on the map really soon. Do they even do they tempt fate and go for the Baron?
Supernova. I mean, the big thing that they're really looking for, right? They still have just one easy engage tool in Trevor. And he has no flash, he doesn't have a whole lot of HP. That's going to give them time to back away at this point. But instead of looking at the Baron, instead we have to look towards the Dragon. Because Supernova, one Dragon away from picking up the Chemtech Soul. And it's not the most impactful soul, but a soul is a soul.
Soul's a soul. Although, I'm actually going to say it. For Supernova, it almost feels like maybe you want to just let Team Fish Tacos have this one, because then you have Elder Dragon on top of that afterwards. And with how close these fights are going at the moment, you really need to make sure you have a definitive lead.
Sure. And as we start looking at it, we see the same play. Quacker going to be teleporting into the mid lane, not going to be punished for it, and Robbie Bob puts the engagers.
Found Trevor on the other side. Robbie Bob hadn't been able to put the miasma down just yet to make sure they can lock down Rosethorn, but they are all corralled. That's the miasma used, but it's on a low cooldown at this moment. With the Dragon spawning, Team Fish Taco on top of the objective. Supernova, they don't seem keen to just forfeit this one over. They are still looking for that fight, but they gotta be careful because Quacker, taken pretty low. They've spotted Lunacia. They know the flank. Charm went wide. With how low it is, does seem that Supernova will forfeit the objective.
Yeah, with how strong Lunacia is, you need to devote somebody to actually marking him, and no single player can mark the Olaf because of how far ahead Lunacia has gotten. But when the shoe is on the other foot, Supernova trying to set up a trap as Team Fish Taco now have to check.
Yeah, but it does seem that with the roaming goon squad now of Taco, scaring off Supernova from even attempting that bait, attempting that fly trap to catch some member of Team Fish Taco out.
It is worth noting, as the ultimate goes across just to check whether or not
just
they're actually
spotting it out. Just be like, hey, you know what? Are they? No? Okay, cool. We can go mid.
No, we're good. We're good. Okay, we can play this a little bit slower. Now, as we start taking a look, right, oftentimes what you'll see is that individual players will be given a lot more farm on one side or the other, but right now it's just Lunacia with the lead, and Supernova, they are hitting this. They are letting Team Fish Taco know.
No, Rosethorn, he had backed. Maybe they were able to spot that out. I don't, with some of the wards, I think they spotted it out. Now it's low, but Rosethorn just in the nick of time.
Trevor
looking for the re-engage. Miasma pumps down, but look at the back line. Oh, Nat's still alive.
Robbie!
And here comes Lunacia, looking for everybody. They're kind of back, but can you stop Olaf? You picked up one. You've got Rosethorn, but can you stop the beast? You can't deny Lunacia.
Oh my god, it doesn't seem like he's taking any damage. He's just healing through everything. And Team Fish Taco, they once again walk away with a 1-for-1. But because all of these fights are being started by the way that Supernova wants to actually go for them, it still feels as though Supernova are the ones calling the shots. But we gotta call it out. We need to see some grievous wounds to deal with this guy, because it has been over and over that Lunacia has been able to do this kind of thing. And as he comes in from the side, look at how much pressure they're actually putting on towards Robbie. Sketch and Robbie no longer hitting the same target throughout the course of the fight, but that's not stopping them. They're going right for the Baron again.
And Lunacia clears it out with one undertow, 50% on to Baron.
They can't turn.
A lot. Can they turn? Can they get this one? They just have to go full commit for it. They've taken the objective. They've got an XI in the pit. They've got one kill, but Quacker's not there. It's Lunacia. He found himself in the cage, but they finally shut him down. They've got him out of there, even though music is nearly taken out by Onat. This is the play Supernova have been needing.
Wow, they once again to go for the same kind of thing, right? Rosethorn goes for a back, and now Rosethorn. All right.
That's a quickness. He has, no, he doesn't. He has flash, but he wants to commit it. Does he? Okay, he survives. Wow.
Wow. That's wild. And now Supernova finally have the gold lead that's kind of felt like they've had this entire time. And again, a great play, just preying on the fact that Rosethorn going for these backs. I don't know if he's doing it on vision. I don't know if Supernova are getting lucky, but either way, Supernova are absolutely controlling so many of these fights. And with 2 minutes left until the next dragon spawning, where Supernova can potentially get the soul, that gives them a lot of time to play around a lot of these tower objectives. Just go for all these different fights.
Right now, Quacker, he might not be able to solo out Lunacia, but he's looking like he can solo out Onat right now, but the charm connects, and unfortunately for him, it was not a 1v1.
I like the attempt, but now Supernova here with a vengeance.
Here with a vengeance, and you've got a Volibear, then it crashed down. Onat trying to survive, kiting it back out the best he can, but he's chased down by the bear as Rosethorn himself He'll bail out of that one. 1-for-1 in the extended trade, but it's still Supernova's lead because they topple structure.
They topple the structure, and there's no response in the mid lane as Spawn and NXI forced to recall. Supernova would go way, way faster. You cannot push into Robbie Bob. Another structure should go down here.
Could easily be taken here. This is Ezreal things with Baron late game. Having 3 items to his name as well can easily destroy those turrets.
Now, Alex, once again, we got to look towards the Chemtech Soul that is going to be spawning here in 50 seconds. That would be the Soul here for Supernova, as they are already moving out in force. Now, Quacker has done a couple good jobs going for a lot of these plays, but as Sketch blasts himself backwards, the big thing to watch for in this next fight is, are Robbie and Sketch hitting the same target?
Yes.
Also, can they get some grievous wounds onto Lunacia? The only person who can do that is Quacker, and Lunacia doesn't have to hit him.
And I don't think Lunacia wants to hit him either. He's looking for Sketch. He's looking for Robbie Bob to hunt them down in the back line.
Yeah.
It still will be dependent on him getting there. Like you said, as long as Robbie Bob and Sketch are hitting the same target, be that Lunacia, they can take him down fairly quickly. And here's going to be the TP from Quacker as Trevor tried to engage. Miasma put down on NXI, and that's Lunacia inside of all 5 fighting them. Trevor taking low, but will heal up with Redemption. Quacker was able to get a little bit out of Rosethorn, cutting it back. They've got 1. They've only got the charm, though. It's on to Quacker, the tanky member, as Music looks to hunt down. Dashing away. Got him, but he's over the wall. Followed up by the bear. Slams down, unstoppable. Music is singing the songs and the Requiem as they look for these kills, and they might have lost Quacker, but they've got Sketch looking for the flank on the other side, and he's on top of Lunacia. Lunacia might be big. He might be healing up, but he cannot stop. Over there on the side of Supernova, their double kill they have as Spawn will be the last surviving member all the way back in his base.
Team Fish Taco forced to take a front-to-back fight, and they do not hold a candle to this composition coming out from Supernova. Supernova now should be able to open up at least 1 inhibitor, and look at this, they're also sending Robbie to pick up the Chemtech Soul. This is them getting everything they could possibly ask for in this last fight. And we've seen what can happen when Lunacia can get themselves in. When Lunacia is sitting on a flank, Supernova cannot afford to challenge them. But when you have the Olaf right in front of you, when you have the rest of Team Fish Taco trying to just go directly into Cassiopeia, there is no way they can take those fights.
When everyone is focusing on Lunacia, it's a lot harder for you to sustain up the damage that is dealt, right? Like you said, you called it out, the Cassiopeia, how much damage she does. Same with Sketch when they focus the same target. Let's take a look at this fight that was initiated by Trevor.
Yeah. Look at this as well, right? As they go in, there's a lot of damage, and Lunacia pops the ultimate relatively early, but, I mean, he's hitting Quacker. He's not able to hit any priority targets, and the rest of his team is like, well, guys, there's a Miasma. You tried stepping in that? It's gross. You don't want to touch that at all. The other big thing, fantastic stopwatch coming out from Sketch to keep themselves alive, and from here on out, it's just Robbie being faster, running people down, catching them 1 by 1, and I believe it was Balulu I did an interview with a long time ago. It's like, yeah, this is going to fight, you know, you've already won the fight. It's only a matter of how many you can actually run down.
Exactly. It's just how many kills can you get? Because you're going to gain everything on top of it after all. As Music does find Rosethorn, but that's all you need to find. With the Miasma put down again, they can look to get the damage, but they got Lunacia this time. He's on top of Sketch.
Lunacia!
He's getting a lot of damage. Unchecked, unstopped, unrivaled. It's Robbie Bob's turn to get the attention of Olaf. The Viking is here, baby!
Is it enough, though? I mean, they are getting a couple of kills. They kill the 2 big members. Those are some big shutdowns, but the gold lead is still on the other side. They use so many ultimates. How do they get another fight started? How much gold can they pick up off of this? They'll pick up at least 1 objective bounty, but the Baron hasn't even spawned yet.
It hasn't spawned, but you saw 30 seconds still Sketch and Robbie Bob are up. That's a long time, and they have no wave clear. There's a good amount of time, a good amount of pressure that Team Fish Taco now have on the map, because they can turn back towards this objective, but they got to burst it down quickly. So you see 2 TPs, Robbie Bob and Sketch. Unless they can get that or get Trevor out of the fight initially, they can't get this too fast without having to worry about it getting stolen. They get on top of it. Lunacia is found out by Quacker, pushed back. Well, Music, can you pull off a miracle? You stole 1 objective. There's a TP on the other side. Robbie Bob, he's going to be here shortly afterwards as well. 25%. Music's in the pit. It's not stolen away. Oh, Ned secured it. He pulled out, though. Quacker trying to fight against the Sketch. Sketch is gone. They've lost the carry, but Robbie Bob, it's his turn. His hat in the ring. Up the against Lunacia. But Lunacia, can you stop him? Where's your grievous wounds? You can't do anything against him, and he can take you all down. The solo kill king. He's fighting back.
No way.
Bounce around, healing up still. Finally, music and executes him, and Decisive, boom.
Oh my god, they finally take him down. There are too many big, beefy boys all here at Supernova. They win the fight, but they don't have the Baron. Is this enough? It looks as though Rosethorn is up in 15 seconds. It'll take them that long to even get to the Nexus Towers. And Alex, I think that means that we're going to get a game-deciding fight around the Elder Dragon. We're in for another one. We were saying how important it is for Lunacia to be able to hit important members. He finds his way onto Sketch this time around, and once he is in the pit, you are not getting the Olaf off. You find Lunacia a flank, you find his way into the backline. Taco have a way back into this game, but if they have to go directly into Cassiopeia, there is no way they can do it.
No way, but they do delay the game.
They do delay it.
I didn't think after the Team Fish Taco took that last dragon, the fourth one of the game, and then the soul was taken afterwards for Supernova, we'd even get to this point, because I thought Supernova would get so far ahead that there'd be no chance that this even spawns up, and we are 2 minutes away from it, Josh.
Yeah. So this is the game plan, right? You know that Spawn's gonna be doing the damage, right? That is basically a given. He's got the 3-4 items already completed on the Aphelios. He can do the damage necessary, but he needs his front line to not be melting. He needs his front line to be creating pressure, to be preventing Robbie Bob and Sketch from trying to hit him back. And now, I mean, the good thing for Team Fish Taco is even though their mid lane inhibitor went down, that's the easiest one to deal with, right? You're going to be hitting that every single time, just kind of walking around. And you have plenty of time to fix your sideways. That's why Ona has already come up here. If you can get that pushing back towards the other side of the map, Supernova will have to deal with that at some point or just give up a ton of gold. So Taco, they've set themselves up for success if they can find Lunacia a better position than he has right now.
Lunacia is still looking for that, and this is why I do like what Supernova are attempting. Getting that vision control. Looking at the control to mark Lunacia at every point in this game, because how critical that is, as you talked about. If Lunacia can get into this backline like he has been these last few fights, what can Robbie Bob and Sketch do to him unless everyone and their mothers are focused on him?
Now Supernova, Lunacia has an interesting spot, but it's a 4v5 on the opposite side.
Charging Choo-Choo Train, looking for NXI, and look where Lunacia is. He's far away. They've got so much damage on a Rosethorn. He's going to revive with the help of the Guardian's Angel. But Quacker, that's the attention of 3 members, while Lunacia is on top of 4 by himself because he's lost Rosethorn. Chasing down, healing up, but finally they can cut through the beast. He's healing up forever in a day, but there's not so much that he can do forever. Finally, he falls to Sketch.
Yeah, they finally get it. The amount of pressure they put on the front lane. They split up the fight. Lunacia is too far away. Supernova, they're not going for the end of the game either. They are going for the structure. They're going to be backing away and trying to pick up the Elder Dragon. So there's opportunities for a miracle.
With Lunacia not having TP and 40 seconds left until he respawns, this should easily be picked up by Supernova with no ability to contest it for Team Fish Taco.
Yeah, Team Fish Taco going to be backing away, and this should be the nail in the coffin, right? We've seen so many different opportunities for Team Fish Taco to try and go for these plays, but Supernova, they've picked a fairly straightforward composition to go for, and they are even waiting for Quacker.
A smart call. What can Team Fish Taco do to even answer it? They know they're on top of the objective, but with only 1 TP on their team, it's not like they can even hope for a steal.
Yeah. I mean, good stuff coming through from Supernova, right? Crossing the T's, dotting their I's, and they are going to be setting up for one final fight. The Baron spawns a minute and a half, but Supernova don't even really need to wait for that. I mean, it might be the only thing that gets Team Fish Taco out of their base, though.
Yeah, it could be. Because Team Fish Taco, at this point, you know there's Elder on the other side. You've got 2 minutes to kill. Just wait. Just wait and wait for that. You have to wait for them to come to you. Because that means there's more time that Supernova are spending, not utilizing that buff to their fullest effect. But all the while, Supernova are just going to get every single lane in order, dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
As they start moving in, this first inhibitor will be going down relatively quickly. Quacker bringing a wave on the top side. The bottom side will, I believe, slowly push in their favor. Team Fish Taco, they have a minute and a half left before this Elder Dragon does wear off, and Quacker actually going to be backing away. Has to have an item completed, you would expect, for it to go for this.
Yeah, he's got TP.
Chain.
There it is. Gonna get back. Just waiting it out, waiting for the minions to crash so he can just use TP on top of it so they can try to crack one more structure, this time the top one. But that was a lot of damage Robbie Bob took from Spawn, because Spawn did burn Moonlight Vigil to keep them at bay.
There's a minute left on this Elder Dragon, as Robbie Bob is going to be resetting, will teleport back into the
same play
into the lane. Watch Trevor, right? He's been the one that's been going.
He's looking for it with music as well. They do force him off. The TP completed. That's going to be another inhibitor. This one in the top lane secured by Supernova. They still have plenty of time with the Elder buff on top of their heads. They can wait it out for the minions to come in mid lane before they look for a fight.
Yeah. I actually really like how cautious Supernova are being as well, right? Even with the Elder Dragon, you don't want to give your opponents an opportunity back in. You don't want to overextend in order to try and make this fight happening. They're bringing the super minions in, and now they go.
Farm connect on to music and using the ult to get the Ohm Wrecker effect on a 2, but they've got a lot of damage. There's one structure gone. NXI flashing away. Lunatia being careful not to get dragged into a fight, especially against the Elder Dragon up the Supernova.
A very tempered response coming through from both sides, but now Supernova, they know they don't have any Elder Dragon left, but they also know there's been no vision for Team Fish Taco, and they have to check.
No. Rose Thorn, he's getting spot out. Dashes away as Music now put himself in a bad position.
Oh, Quacker.
They look for the re-engage on a Quacker, but Music being so low without his ult as well, they could try to fight this off. They've got Music nearly dead, but somehow he's kicking. The bear is not stopped.
The bear is kicking. The bear is ready to go. And Supernova setting another trap.
How many times are they going to try this one? How many times is it going to work? It keeps getting a Team Fish Taco off of their guard in the flash away.
Onad!
The TP as Onad gets dragged in, looking for the fight against Music in the middle while Spawn is fighting against Quacker by himself. He trades 1 for 1, but they've lost Rose Thorn. Lunatia, he cannot fight against all these members, wailing away on top of him with the quickness.
Trevor!
Double kill! Robbie Bob from Collegiate here to the Challengers. He will pick up game 1 with Supernova.
Oh my god, Trevor, the oldest support coming through in the league, joining up with the collegiate MVP and Robbie Bob, absolutely decimating that last fight. 0-2 and 29 assists coming through for Trevor. Fantastic engage throughout the entire game. The way that he was able to move around was remarkable, locking down every single person in that last fight. And Supernova end up finding a game in, honestly, a bit of a longer game than I expected it to be, right? They felt like they were winning for almost the entire thing.
I feel like it was a longer game than anyone expected. I thought there were so many of those fights where I'm like, that's it. That's the game-winning fight. And then somehow Team Fish Taco would come back into that time and time again. But it was only so much they could do before finally the game crumbled around them, and Lunatia could no longer consistently stay on top of Sketch and Robbie Bob.
Yeah, honestly, great stuff coming through from the side of both teams. Now, I feel like we have a fairly straightforward answer that we need to see coming up from Team Fish Taco. They need to find better ways to flank. It's early in the season. This is something that you develop over the course of a split, but we need to see their opportunities to try and upset the backline. That's the one thing we really need to see coming out from these guys, because this looks like the way that Supernova is likely going to be wanting to play.
Yeah, and Supernova, 41-minute game 1 victory over Team Fish Taco. The Heart of Amateur, they start off strong already. We'll see if they can make this a 2-0 or if we get the bounce back from Team Fish Taco. But we got our Rally Cry halftime show with Rafa after the break.